Sorry about that.
Thank you, Doc.
You're welcome, Dad.
Welcome, family. I was going to give a different talk today, but had a little incident yesterday. So I decided we was going to have a little chat with Dad. How's that? Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
All right. See if I... there you go. Okay. And I thought the talk would just be a little fundamentalist talk. You know, we are fundamentalists here. We just keep the fun before the mental. Daddy jokes. Okay. Matter of fact, you know, the whole idea behind daddy jokes, you know, I know when when Linda was younger, it was just such great fun having her around. You know, she was jumping around, crawling under the tables and everything. So I decided to share with her a few little jokes. Because Linda thought she was always a smart little girl. So I remember, Linda, you remember this joke I used to teach you? Tell to you? I said, Linda, and we were out and about downtown, and you saw the hot dog stand. And I said, do you know how to make a hot dog stand?
No.
Take away a seat. That's what she said. But I'm sure all of you heard about the joke about the sidewalk, though.
Sure.
No? Well, it's all around town.
It's all about timing.
Okay. That's what Linda says. She's always go, Dad. You know, but it also, I know you know about this one now. You know what a vampire's favorite fruit is?
No. What?
Nectarine.
I love it. Keep it going, my friend.
Thank you. I'm going to adopt you, Kim. So since those didn't go off that well, we'll try some others here. But first of all, we remind ourselves why we're here. So we're going to have a little chat about the Alaska Center for what? Spiritual Living. Now you got to have a little serious involved with the jokes, right? And so it's really important that we are reminded why we're here. And it's important to remember also that if you really do a lot of spiritual practices and developing yourself, and you reach the state of enlightenment, you will actually find that you enlighten up.
Yes.
Okay? Because you don't take life so serious. So there's 3 takeaways I'd like for you to take away today.
Okay. We're at the end already.
One is lighten up. 2, calibrate. And celebrate.
Yeah.
Lighten up, calibrate, and celebrate. So we're going to have a little talk about that today. Just also remember, since we are the Centers for Spiritual Living, it's important you kind of know a little bit about our history. We started our traditional belief system sort of got a title for it back over nearly 100 years ago. Even before the founder of Center for Spiritual Living, Ernest Holmes, even got around to it himself. And it's generally called the New Thought movement. You know, the New Thought movement was really about taking the golden threads of all the different philosophies and religions, science, and belief systems, and finding that golden thread that connects them all. So therefore, we were able to get beyond the labels of religion and spirituality and even science and begin to look for the oneness of it. And then came along a little guy named Ernie, formerly known as Ernest Holmes. he kind of grew up in a home that was not that fundamentalist. Therefore, it was easy for him as he went on his life search to try to look at all the different paths. And he came up with an idea that he termed religious science. Now, back in those days, people took religion as the general idea of what we call today spirituality. But also back in those days, they had what's called, they didn't have cell phones back in those days. They also had back in those days what they called spiritualists. And they were considered woo. So rather than name it religious spiritualists, he said, I'm just going to call it science, religious science, to let people know that we are really about how to live life more effectively, and there's no divide between spirituality and science. It is all one. So that's where we came up with the idea of New Thought religious science. Then, lo and behold, many years later, there are other organizations. It's one called Christian Science, one called Scientology. And we found ourselves, when people ask us, who are you? We say religious science. And they always ask us, oh, is that the same as Scientology, Christian Science? No. So about 75 years unexplaining ourselves. About 10 years ago, we decided to do a collaboration and to figure out if we wanted to change our name, at least our brand name. So fortunately, that was several years ago. I happened to be at the National Convention, and they had hundreds of people there. We all broke up into little small groups. And my group, and they said, we threw out all kinds of different names. Keep religious science, call it the science of religion. Make it the philosophy called Science of Mind, which Ernest Holmes came up with. And round and round. And finally, our group decided, how about simply Centers for Spiritual Living? So the little six of us were so wise and so grand. And we came up with the idea. So we submitted our idea. And lo and behold, as it works out with one mind, about 75% of the audience came with the same name. And therefore, we heard today, our brand name today is called Centers for Spiritual Living. All right? So that just shows, so what is that thought? What is that history behind that? Well, I'm saying that. We are an organization that constantly grows and thrives and trying to unfold in the true tradition of new thought. And really, new thought isn't really that new. Because as human beings, we figured out we're kind of designed to always take a new thought. Matter of fact, one religious path came up with the Old Testament and the New Testament. They had a new thought. So we call ourselves, we stand on ancient wisdom and new thought. So let's take a little new thought about some of this stuff we're talking about today. So first of all, we know that as a new thought, we constantly got to be thinking about how to apply universal principles in a new way. So, one of the things that we do around here, we say that whenever something you have that's good, we can make it better. Because we believe in this thing called God. Now, I don't know, it's like some of you, I used to have this problem with God. Therefore, we say, okay, take a new thought then. Call it whatever you want to call it. Call it spirit, call it Buddhic, call it Allah, Ishmael. But the whole idea is that there's something about this thing, often called God, also called light, also called love, that is universal and has ever been forever throughout all of human consciousness. And we also figured out that there's this thing that seems to be the initial creator of something. And we call that consciousness, or the God part, the conscious part of God. There also seems to be something in this universal thing that when you submit it to it, it produces something. We call that law. Okay? And then what it produces we call the thing or the form or manifest something. So, we believe that if you think it goes into a principle called law, and you create something. Therefore, they say, pray as though it already is. That's thinking, it goes into the law, and it creates something. New thought. So we call this affirmative. Now, what is affirmative? Well, there's many ways and labels we put on prayer. In prayer, we say is when you consciously choose to commune with the infinite. This is a beautiful thing. And what we do with this thing is that you first allow yourself to be receptive of the infinite wisdom. Some of us call that meditation, contemplation. But most important thing, without hesitation, you take time to listen to Spirit. Then Spirit downloads infinite new thoughts to us as human beings. Then we take it on, and then once we capture that idea, we speak the word, which means we affirm it as though it already is in the outer. And lo and behold, it appears, one way or another. And that's what we believe in. So, since this is Father's Day, Daddy's Day, let's take a little look at this thing. Now, I know many of us have different experiences with fathers. And we know that Father is one who simply gives his biological substance to make us humans. But it's something a little bit even deeper than that. So what we do as New Thought people, we always reinterpret that spiritually. So, what would a good father? I need your help on this. So, all right, we have my right side here, the middle side there, and my left side here. Give me one. Somebody shout out spontaneously. What's
cheesy
one?
Jokes. A good father would shout out cheesy jokes.
A good father would shout out cheesy jokes. Very good. Okay, so that's what I want. So give me supportive. Thank you.
Responsible.
Responsible.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. How about over here? Unconditional love. Got some more over here. Protective.
Fixes stuff.
Fix stuff.
Yes.
Affirming. Yes. Attention. Thank you. These are all. Would that be a perfect father? Now we do know as human beings, we often fail at this perfection. So, always listening, understanding, providing. I heard someone say, "Oh, wise father." Protector, heard someone say. Loving. It could fix it for me. Therefore, as human beings, what we did with the infinite present, we end up calling it Father. Now remember, it's a principle. So we do know it's really not necessarily the human thing that we call Father, but it's a principle in life that does all these things for us. Then one day I was listening to a Jewish program on TV one day, and it said, you know what? These things we put labels on, the fathers and mothers, really is about the parenthood of God. We celebrate the social roles that we play, and etc. But all the things that we just mentioned could also be provided to us by our mothers, or by a neighbor, or a friend. Because why? God expresses in infinite ways and means. So therefore, what we do then, we look for the ideal of something. So what we look for, if we want to have a father experience, we take the qualities of an ideal father and we meditate on that. And we ask the infinite spirit to give us additional ideas. And we take that feeling within us and we claim it as though it already is. And then lo and behold, what we have found out is that people come to our aid. People will show up. And therefore, I apparently have shown up that way for a lot of people, right? So I have about at least 9 children. And people ask me, Kaleem, you've been very productive. Really, it's just I've opened myself up to the father idea. And lo and behold, I have children from everywhere. Because I grew up in a household of 9 of us, 8 other children. I always wanted to have a large family. Then I realized how much it cost to have a large family. I kind of changed my mind. So I found out there was a less expensive way of doing that. And therefore, I end up with all these wonderful beings that call me Dad. And what a beautiful thing that is. Now, sometimes because we have these backgrounds about Dad and our life early, particularly our early childhood experiences, it's really important for us to take our creative minds again and to recalibrate our human experience. Therefore, we've had our worldly fathers that may or may not have been present in our lives. We may have had a father that was present in our lives, but we saw many things that were not complete about that person. And now we know in the philosophy of New Thought, we can recreate my early childhood experiences by choosing to look for the good. So choosing to realize that that person did the best they could do based on their circumstances. But that does not leave me without the Father. Because I can now recreate in my own mind what the perfection of that Father is. Feel it. Sit within my mind. And that infinite presence will come upon me and through me and comfort me, protect me, provide for me. And an outer individual will come into my life who support me in the various roles. That's New Thought. Recalibrating, recreating. In psychology, they call that reframing your life experiences. Isn't that a wonderful thing? And I call that recalibrating, right? So if you're an engineer or you work around machinery, you know there's a standard way this machine is supposed to work. And sometimes I got to recalibrate it to bring it into alignment. And that's what we do in New Thought. We recalibrate our life experiences and bring it into the alignment of the ideal. And lo and behold, it becomes real. The ideal becomes real. So that's what some of the things we do as part of New Thought. Now, like I said before, New Thought really isn't that new. It's the idea about the newness is we recreate, we refresh, we renew. So that brings me to another ancient teacher that some of us call the Son of God, also known as Jesus. And because of his enlightenment, he took on the title of the Christ, which simply means the anointed one, which simply means one, anointed like a candle with oil, one who brings light, the enlightener. Therefore, he wasn't born with the last name Christ, but he earned the spiritual title of the Christ. And while he was hanging around with his gang, called the disciples, he communed with them, and they said, one of them said one day that, "Teacher, teach us to pray." So he taught them a method of prayer, and he said something like, "Pray like this." Now, like this doesn't mean the exact words that I prayed in, but here's a formula that if you pray something like this, you receive many blessings. So, what he taught them was, first of all, our Father. He didn't say, my Father. It was our Father, a universal thought. Who art in heaven. Now, let's take a New Thought look at this thing called heaven. Well, we know that we can go out in the middle of the night, especially in the winter here in Alaska, and you look up at the beautiful sky, and you can see the heavens lay before you. It is as though it's endless. It is everywhere. So that kind of fits into what we believe, that our Father dwells everywhere. It's infinite, transcendent. Our Father, hallowed be thy name, unique, whole and complete. Name? The name means the nature of something. Thy nature is whole, unique, and pure. Our Father. Thy kingdom come. What is the kingdom? The kingdom means everything that is provided, all that you need. If it's like a kingdom, could be a family, a tribe. But the heavenly kingdom, which means everything is available to you. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So the infinite goodness of the presence of God is always present now. If something is done, it means it's already cooked, right? Okay? It already is. So this is what this Father is to us. Then they said, Father, give us this day, tomorrow, yesterday, no, when?
Now.
Right now. Okay, in this present moment, the power, the presence of nowness. And give us what? Our daily bread, which means everything that we need on a daily basis, minute by minute, hour by hour, is already available to us. And our Heavenly Father, that Spirit of God, always providing for us. And then it goes something like this. Now think about this when I talked about our worldly fathers. It said, forgive us our trespasses. An important part about relationship with our worldly fathers, our parents, our neighbors, is forgiveness. That's how we lighten up. His holding on to pain is heavy. And when you become spiritual thinkers, you let that fall away from you. So notice this. It was the conversation with the Father. Forgive me my trespasses, our trespasses collectively, as we forgive those who trespass against us. So I really wasn't asking forgiveness about the one who I may have offended. I was asking forgiveness with that Father that is everywhere. And then I also mentioned that the Father is not only in heaven. Where's the Father? Everywhere. In earth. Now, we New Thought people, we take that means the earthly body. The Father is transcendent and the Father is immanent within. So therefore, when I talk with my higher self called God, and I choose to lighten up by releasing those things that I feel offended me in life, I know the secret of how that happens. Forgive others. Let it go. Lighten up. And lead us not into temptation. Of course, a good father will not lead you into temptation. But I was making a statement. A good father does not lead you into temptation. Therefore, I do know when I'm getting intuitive thoughts, those thoughts that guide me to righteousness are the thoughts of God. And lead me not, and deliver us not, and deliver us from evil. What is evil? E-V-I-L. It's living life backwards. Live, L-I-V-E. Lead us not to living life backwardly, but positively and moving forward. So this is what we do. This is how we live a life of gratitude and fun. So remember to vision, to think of the ideal. Because before the internet, there was the television, right? I tell a vision to you, you tell a vision to me. If you don't like the program, change the channel. There goes that daddy again. Okay. But also remember, it is true that as we go through life thinking heavy thoughts, thought particles tend to be caught between the ears, right? And cause what you call a truth decay. So do a mental floss twice a day. Okay, you're hanging in with me. It's going to be over soon. But also remember this, though, that if you want world peace, want inner peace, we must let go of attachments and truly live like nomads. Right? No attachment, nomads. That's where I nomad at you, you nomad at me, and there'll be surely no madness in the world. Because remember, we all know that peace begins with each of us. Right? A little peace here, a a little piece there, and pretty soon all the pieces will fit together, and there'll be peace everywhere. And we know that the earth goes through changes. So the earth changes have been predicted and we want to predict the future. You've got to be looking to avoid earthquakes, right? My advice is simple. If you find a fault, don't dwell on it. These are my advanced students over here. Okay, so the truth is that we know there's no need to really change the world. We simply, because if we want to change the world, we knew we need to teach the world and give it toilet training. Then we give it toilet training, we'll have no need to change it again. Okay, so if you're looking for the key to the universe, I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that there's no key to the universe. And the good news is that it's never locked. Okay. Peace and blessings.